director getting $150,000 a year from the company who needs it. It's not an independent director. That director, it automatically becomes an inside director. And so it's a typical government intervention. It says it's doing one thing and it does another. Yeah.
Just want to say I completely agree on this. It's pretty obvious when you can see that certain directors there are just on multiple boards that collect a paycheck. One thing I particularly like to do is just to see whether that same director is sat on multiple boards, and that's something that they usually disclose. And if that's the case, and generally that's a bit of a red flag for me, because that's just signaling that more or less that they're treating this role as just a way to collect a paycheck, collect an income, and like sort of Charlie Munger and Warren Buffett are pointing out, it's just going to lead to them sort of prioritizing them essentially retaining their job rather than doing what's actually best for the company. And a lot of the time that means having a bit of friction between management, whether that's the compensation package, whether that's saying, actually, hold on, let's stop and think about this acquisition before it goes through. Is it really accretive, or is it just going to grow the business but dilute shareholders equally, creating no value, but make you seem more successful, as a CEO or whoever it is running a bigger company, having more people under you, etc. So that's something that they do mention. Another sort of few things that I like to see is if the independent director has a significant ownership in the business or reasonable sized ownership, that's quite helpful. It just helps to show that actually their interests are aligned. If this is the only board they really sit on, and that they're not just sort of one-sidedly agreeing to everything, because that's ultimately what you want to prevent. You want to prevent having just yes men on the board, which just makes things worse.
I've been on 19 boards. I've never seen a director where the director's fees were important to them object to an acquisition proposal, object to a compensation arrangement.
Yeah, so that's very true, as I just mentioned earlier.
CEO, it's just never happened. And in my experience, they frequently do not behave as they would if they owned the place. And basically, we want people that behave as if they own the place.
The correct system is the Elihu Root system. Elihu Root, who had 3 different cabinet appointments, if I remember right, said no man was fit to hold public office who wasn't perfectly willing to leave it at any time. And if Elihu Root didn't approve of something the government asked him to do, he could always go back and be the most sought-after lawyer in the world.
And I just want to say I completely agree with that statement, in the sense that it applies not only to independent directors, it applies to everyone at the company, in my opinion. It's that if you aren't thinking like an owner, chances are you're just, because everyone acts rationally in their best interest. So it's trying to make sure that the company you're investing into has their interest aligned with you as an owner. And so what that means is, as an independent director, ideally you want them to have skin in the game as well, or at least this is their only sort of, this isn't necessarily a significant part of their net worth, so that the fact that this income from this role isn't the only thing that's keeping them there. Ideally, I'd like to see them with a significantly larger net worth. Now, that's not always the most straightforward to distinguish, but an easy way is through share ownership. So yeah, I wouldn't want that to happen where they're just there collecting a paycheck, collecting a monthly income as a part-time role. Another thing is sort of you can even look to apply this to management team as well. So if a management team is full of just the CFO and the CMO who are just there to basically collect a paycheck, they've got no ownership in the business, they've got no skin in the game other than that monthly paycheck. Well, what's going to happen is if they disagree with the direction the company's going in, potentially other members are being too aggressive with expansion. Like we said, acquisition is often a downfall of a lot of companies for this very reason. And what could end up happening is, well, it comes to a rational decision from them, which is, well, I'm just going to prioritize what's best for me. I don't care. I'm going to do my job. I'm going to collect my monthly income from this job, and then just move on to the next role and my next part of my career. So you really have to think of it from the individual's perspective as well and see how that lines up. Whereas if you've got someone where they own like 1 or 2% of the company, then they will, chances are they're going to be much more excited for the future of the business, where it's going, and actually they're going to be more willing to risk their call it even their credibility, their role, by stepping in and giving that feedback and saying, hey, actually I think we should slow down a bit. So I think this has been quite insightful. Please let me know what you think.